Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. Here is 5 talking points from the game against Arsenal yesterday. First and foremost, improved performance. Now look, I know the result didn't go the way we wanted it to, but I thought our performance was much improved on the back of, you would say, poor performances relatively at the start of the season. I thought, let's take last week, for example, against Nottingham Forest, 2 goals down after 4 minutes, but I think showed good resilience, good character to come back and win the game. I thought yesterday we kept Arsenal at bay for long periods of time and frustrated them. Our fullbacks kept their wingers very quiet. Our defence played really well. We probably lacked a bit of control in midfield. I think maybe into the final third and maybe our final ball through the lines wasn't quite good enough. But I think overall, you're going to the Emirates Stadium. You're never going to control the game for 90 minutes. And you're always kind of going to be on the back foot more so than probably on the front foot. So, look, I think as desperately disappointing as the result was, I think the performances are starting to improve. So for that reason, there is kind of a bit of optimism there. But look, we need to continue that. We need to get Rasmus Højlund in. We'll talk about him in a moment. We need to get Amrabat in. We need to get a settled 11. But I think the performances are going in the right direction. Next up, lack of legs in midfield. Now, look, I love Casemiro, I love Christian Eriksen, but they are both the wrong side of 30, and when you're coming up against an Odegaard, a Declan Rice, I'm not going to include Kai Havertz in it because he's a bum and I'll stick by that for the remainder of the season, but is there a much needed, I suppose, call for youth or a little bit more youth, because we know Amrabat is coming in, you know what I mean? He's 27 years of age, he's in his prime at the moment. We know Mason Mount has come in as well. Unfortunately, he's injured, but I think it did show in midfield again yesterday, our lack of mobility. Bruno is one of them players who will always give you 100%. He'll always work hard, he'll always run. He tends to go through phases of a good game, then a bad game, then a good game, then a bad game. And look, Casemiro is renowned for slow starts to the season, and Christian Eriksen just doesn't really have the legs. Although I do think Christian Eriksen was probably our best player yesterday in midfield. There is a big call to get some youth into that midfield though, and I think Amrabat will provide some of that. And I think Mason Mount hopefully coming back, revitalised. If we decide to get him in there as well. I don't know how you're going to fit Casemiro, Amrabat, Mount and Bruno all into one midfield. Whatever about Christian Eriksen as well. So it's going to be interesting. But I do think we're going to need some younger legs. Now next, let's talk about the makeshift defence. As we know yesterday, Manchester United finished up the game with both Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans as our centre-back pairing. And I said it yesterday on the match review that this just stinks of a Glazer investment defence. The fact that we're bringing Johnny Evans on at 35 years of age, I thought Johnny Evans was going to come back and maybe do what, I can't think of his name, plays with the under-21s, Tom Huddleston. I thought that was what Johnny Evans was going to be. I thought he was going to be around the dressing room, be an example to some of the younger players. I didn't expect him to be putting on a jersey and coming on at the bloody Emirates away when, it's 1-1. So it just stinks of the investment that we've had over the last few years. It's not good enough. We haven't invested in a squad. The money is basically not there. It stinks of the Glazers. Again, I don't want to be sounding like a broken record and constantly putting the blame on them, because players do have to take responsibility on the pitch as well. But when you look at other teams above us in the league that, have invested properly, Manchester United are miles off. And I think it's time, we all know it's time for the Glazers to go. We need them to go. We need proper investment. We need proper management of the club as well. You know what I mean? I don't mean management of the first team, because Erik ten Hag is the man in my eyes. But we need good management of the club. The Glazers couldn't run a fucking circus. Well, they are running a circus pretty much at the moment. But we need a change, and we need it from top down, basically. Now, next up, Højlund handful. He did come on and make his debut yesterday, and look, we do know that obviously he had a little bit of an injury, so he was out for a few games. I was impressed with him when he came on yesterday, I have to say. His physicality was really, really good. He was going up against both Arsenal centre-backs, giving him a torrid time. He was pulling defenders with him, and he created a lot of space for Rashford out on that left-hand side. When he came on, a lot of the ball was coming down our right-hand side. Bruno was drifting out to that area. Højlund was, maybe taking maybe a centre-back out of it, maybe compacting Arsenal's defence a little bit, and we switched a couple of good balls out to, I think it was Garnacho and Rashford on the left-hand side as well. His movement looked good in the box as well. Rashford should have squared the ball to him. Rashford made a run down the left-hand side. Rasmus Højlund, it reminded me of Rooney against Arsenal years ago, where he made that full pitch run and scored from it. Højlund made a brilliant run from midfield. And we also had Anthony on the back post as well. It was a 2-on-1 chance, and Rashford never squared it, took it on himself. So I've been impressed with him. Let's hope he can settle in quickly. Let's hope he can get his first goal as soon as possible, because he is going to be based and judged on goals, given the fact that he's our number 9. And there is going to be a lot of pressure on him, unfortunately. But again, that goes back to the investment. We needed 2 centre forwards this summer. We only got 1. Anthony Martial offered us absolutely nothing yesterday. He's finished at Manchester United. Another player that should have gone in the summer, but we can't get him off the books because of the wages that we're giving him. But for Højlund, I've been impressed with the first performance we've seen from him, and hopefully there's many more of them to come. Now, last but not least, Sancho aftermath. So we did see Erik ten Hag in the post-match press conference. He said that Sancho wasn't selected because of his training performances throughout the week, and they weren't up to standards. And within an hour, Sancho, what an idiot, what an absolute idiot, comes out with a statement saying that, he's been made a scapegoat, that he thought he played well throughout the week in training, don't believe everything you read, so on and so forth. And it was basically a dig back at Erik ten Hag. What an absolute idiot. Jadon Sancho, I think his time is very, very limited now at Manchester United. We probably should have got rid of him in the summer, but again, he's on 300 plus grand a week, and you can't get them types of players off of your books because they will not get that wages anywhere else. Jadon Sancho, whoever he is being, I suppose, managed by, outside of football, has given him some terrible advice there to put out this statement. A manager is well within his rights to not pick whoever he wants, for a match day squad. We've got Anthony, we've got Pellistri, and we've got Marcus Rashford. There's 3 players that have performed better than him in training throughout the week. You're not going to have 3 wingers on the bench. So if Pellistri, Jadon Sancho is always going to start, and Anthony is going to start, and Garnacho as well. So you're not going to have 3 wingers on the bench when you don't need to. So if Pellistri and Garnacho have trained better than you, and Anthony and Rashford have also trained better and they're starting, then the manager is well within his rights. These players are so up their own arse. They're so engrossed in their own world and their own self-importance that they can't take the slightest bit of criticism from a manager saying Jadon Sancho wasn't picked because his training wasn't good enough this week. Rather than taking it on the chin, putting your head down and working hard for the upcoming weeks, he goes out and releases a statement. He's not included in the England squad. He hasn't been for I don't know how long. He's clearly not good enough. He's had a handful of decent performances for Manchester United in the 2 and a bit seasons that he's been here. Erik ten Hag didn't spend 70 million on him. Erik ten Hag didn't give him 700 grand a week. Erik ten Hag did give him 3 months off last year to try and help him to re-find his best form. And this is how he repays him. He's an idiot. Jadon Sancho is finished in my eyes. You do not go against the manager when it comes to things like this. And I think his time is very limited. And I would be very, very surprised if Erik ten Hag uses him an awful lot this season after that kind of backstabbing. Look, really disappointed in what Sancho has done, I have to say. But again, we'll finish on a positive. We always try and finish on a positive. The international break is now upon us. It's probably a good time given the fact that we've got some injuries. Players can rest. players that are not going on international break needs to get on the training ground and work hard. And, you know, hopefully we come back after the international break and we start scoring some goals. Because there was chances created yesterday. We didn't take them. And yeah, I mean, we find ourselves 6 points behind already after 4 games. So we've got a lot of work to do between now and, you would say, Christmas. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Please smash a like on the video. Please hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. And we will be back tonight for our Manchester United news show, as usual, at 7:30. Hope you see you then. Take it easy.